Hi, I'm Erik Voss, and Star Wars The Last Jedi, as densely packed with goodies and not at all divisive subplots as it was nevertheless a product of a ton of interesting alternate options that never made it into the final film. Unlike other recent Star Wars movies, which all went through a ton of changes throughout the development process, Rian Johnson's script for The Last Jedi was pretty much a story we saw on screen. But, considering his final cut of the movie was over 3 hours long, it resulted in around 20 minutes of deleted scenes that Johnson said could show up in the Blu-ray release. Let's take a look at those deleted scenes, plus some cool looking concept art pointing to possible story directions that were being considered. First, let's look at Luke's island home of Ahch-To. Since this setting was created for The Force Awakens in that final scene, there's a ton of alternate stuff Lucasfilm's artists designed for it. Luke's Jedi Temple was originally conceived with an odd metallic architecture, including floating rock domes. Now, this was before they settled on the more grounded and elemental look of his home in the final version. Some of the art indicated that Luke and Rey would spend more time on the water. One illustration showed Rey having crash-landed the Falcon on the water since she wouldn't have been able to land it on the island's rocky shores, with another picture of Luke and Rey in a skiff as it glides across the waves, suggesting that at some point they might have wanted the Falcon to sink into the water and then Luke to rescue Rey. Also, at some point, one idea was to have Rey train with a series of hovering seeker droids, similar to the one Luke trained with in the first movie. The Sith cave Rey falls into was originally going to give her some super trippy visions beyond those mirror reflections. One idea was to have her see the lightsaber duel between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Back in The Force Awakens, one of the ideas for Rey's Force vision in that movie was for her to see Vader fighting Luke on Cloud City at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. So it sounds like Rey having to witness these old epic duels was really being pushed for by the creative team. Same goes for the idea of Sith ghosts. Some concept art depicts Luke being haunted by a red Sith ghost, the idea being that if Jedi ghosts have a bluish tint, Sith ghosts would be red. Also, at some point, the entrance to this cave was designed to look like the Emperor's window in Return of the Jedi, with the idea being that that window was reflecting some ancient Jedi Sith symbology that had appeared in other forms and architecture. Also, for those of you with the weird rage toward the Porgs, during that scene when they were fiddling with the lightsaber and one looked into the emitter, yes, this was based on concept art where one of those things got skewered through the face with it. Now, you may have remembered promo footage showing Rey running with the lightsaber drawn, which didn't show up in the final cut. This was apparently from one of the biggest deleted sequences of the movie. During Rey's training, she spotted a fire on the other side of the island, and Luke told her that it was bandits attacking the caretakers. But he planned to stay out of it because he figured trying to save them would just make things worse. But Rey springs into action anyway, only to find a big bonfire celebration with the caretakers and the Porgs. Apparently, this is another test by Luke to teach Rey restraint. So Rey returned to Luke, angry at him for lying to her, snapping, "That old legend of Luke Skywalker that you hate so much, I believed in it." Johnson ended up cutting this because Luke tricking Rey like this just to teach her a lesson made him come off as even more of a jerk, which the version of the movie without this scene already put off pretty well. Moving on, there was also some scenes deleted from the Canto Bight storyline, which is surprising because it seemed like they left everything possibly in there. But one bit of dialogue clarified the love triangle between Rey, Finn, and Rose. Rose was gonna mock Finn for pining for Rey. Rey would deny it, claiming he was raised to fight, and that he finally found something to fight for in his friend Rey, leaving Rose to respond jealously, whatever. And then later, when Finn and Rose escape on the father years, crashing through the casino, one of the deleted scenes included an elaborate bathhouse set with a bunch of practically constructed alien puppets and towels who would freak out and dive out of the way. Later, when these two board the Supremacy with DJ, a lot of scenes were shot to make this snooping around sequence a lot more extended, including the group crawling through a long laundry chute. And then, after stealing the First Order officer uniforms, another scene showed them run into a group of stormtroopers, one of whom was played by Tom Hardy. He spoke with a southern accent, saying, "I know who you are. Effing 2187, damn boy, I never took you for officer material." The idea was that this was a stormtrooper who grew up with Finn, and that the troopers, it turns out, were completely unaware of Finn's treason, perhaps suggesting that the First Order would have kept it a secret out of embarrassment to avoid encouraging others to defect. In another deleted scene, Finn was actually going to expose this later on during the fight with Phasma. Finn tells other stormtroopers to join him, calling Phasma a coward who sold out the codes to Starkiller Base in The Force Awakens. But then, as the other stormtroopers hesitated, Phasma was gonna pull out her blaster and shoot all of them to keep her secret silent. It was designed as a sort of tribute to old Sergio Leone-style Western shootouts, but they cut it because it just didn't feel right in that moment. That's all the big stuff we know so far, but a question for you guys. What other scenes did make it in the final cut of the movie that you think could have been saved for the deleted scenes? Personally, I could have done with some more trippy callbacks to past movies in that cave on Ahch-To, and maybe a little less of the stuff on Canto Bight. But I'll throw it over to you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. below, and tweet me directly at Erik Voss, or follow New Rockstars on Twitter at New Rockstars for updates on our videos. Like this video and subscribe to New Rockstars for all of our deep dives into the world of Star Wars. And if you really like us, you can contribute to us on Patreon. A big thanks to all of our donors, especially Christina Armstrong. Thanks for watching. Bye.